Hey, fellow golfers, this is Robbie from Best Ball. One of the most popular names in the golf accessory market today is Western Birch. Stop reaching in your pocket for boring plastic or plain white golf tees and elevate your game with premium wooden golf tees from Western Birch. You can customize both the hardwood and bamboo tees with one of their signature stripe patterns in a wide variety of colors. These tees are stylish enough to stand apart from the crowd, traditional enough to align with golf's heritage, and durable enough to make you forget about using anything else. Enter the code BESTBALL in the promo field in your shipping cart to add a free gift to your order. So visit westernbirch.com and get your own premium wood golf tees in the style that suits your game.
I have a hypothesis, or I've reached a conclusion after X number of loops over 6 years. And let's see if you agree. When you talk to players about playing, pace of play, have you ever had a player say anything other than, "Oh, we play fast, or you won't have to worry about us"?
Yeah, right.
Just about every group that comes up to the starter stand, Mark.
Yeah.
When you get to that part, "Oh, you don't have to worry about us. We play fast."
Yeah.
Man,
it's those guys behind us that you have to worry about.
Yeah. I just am waiting for that one player who's just going to be like, "Yeah, the course is screwed today. I play really slow." Hello and welcome to the Caddie Tales podcast. I am Mark the Caddie, joined as always by my colleague, my sidekick, my friend and fellow looper, Nick. And today we also have special guests, Bill and Kevin, starters from Whistling Straits Golf Course. And so we're looking forward to talking to them today about their awesome gig. Before we do that, though, let me encourage you during this Christmas gift buying season to check out Holderness and Bourne. Go to hbgolf.com, type in the promo code BESTBALL to get some free shipping, and check out some awesome swag for you or for the golf lovers in your life. Holderness and Bourne has a great tailored fit for golfers of all sizes. So get that sleek look, whether it be for some cool weather golf or as you get prepared for next season. So without further ado, though, gentlemen, welcome. Thank you for joining us, Bill and Kevin. How are we this fine Wisconsin morning?
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yes, we are, Mark. Hey, thanks a lot for both you and Nick for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, this is great. I think that, people come to a destination golf course like ours or many around the country, and I often hear how much they appreciate the operation and how top-notch it is, and they like meeting with the various different positions there. Obviously, we as caddies get to spend the most time with them, but you guys are kind of like the front lines. You are one of the first faces that these people see. You are seeing faces filled with hope and anticipation and excitement and
fear.
eagerness.
And fear, too.
And fear.
Fear.
Yeah. So why don't we, I think a lot of people listening know generally what you guys do, but quickly, Kevin, why don't you start and give us a little rundown about your job as a starter?
Sure. It's kind of interesting. I think you hit the nail right on the head, Mark, when you said we're kind of the front line because, other than you guys, the caddies, greeting these guys early, we're really kind of the first people that they really start to converse with and start to gain information on the course. And so, one of the first things that, and I'll be honest, Bill was one of the guys that trained me 4 years ago. So, he kind of taught me a lot of this stuff. The first thing I like to do is just greet these people. I want them to feel at home. I want them to know this is going to be a great experience. And, hopefully, we can converse a little bit, get to know each other for a few minutes. But then that kind of leads into the whole starter speech, where we really have to kind of tell them about the course. We try to give them some of the rules. I mean, we try to emphasize, one of the biggest things, pace of play. We tell them some simple things like where the bathrooms are, where, very important to them, where they're going to get food and drink. That's very important to them. When's the next time I'm going to see water, because of course we have that cooler at the starter stand. So it's a lot of that, it's a lot of trying to be friendly, trying to make them feel at home, thank them for coming. And at the same time, try to drive home some of the important rules, especially pace of play that we have at the course.
Yeah, you mentioned the starter's speech, and one of the things I've noticed is you guys all have your little different way of going about it. Bill, one of the things that I always got a kick out of with you, I've never told you this, but everybody has their thing they emphasize, and the first thing you always say, gentlemen, have you all ever played here before? Sprinkler head yardage on this course is to the front of the green. So I always thought, I remember when I first started, I'm like, of all the things to tell them, Bill is telling them that sprinkler head yardage is to the front of the green. And then a few years into it, I realized, oh yeah, everybody just assumes it's to the middle of the green, because we have to argue with a player about once a round. When we tell them a distance, they go and point at the sprinkler head like we're complete morons. And we're like, no. Like Bill said, that's to the front of the green.
To the front, yep.
Yeah. What's the thing though? Okay, so you're stressing that, but Kevin mentions pace of play. Bill, what would you think is the most important? If you only could have one message to get across to these players, one primary point, what is it?
Since we've gone to 13-minute tee times, I used to say all the time to keep up with the group in front of you. Make sure that you keep them in sight. But with the 13-minute tee times, there's a few places where they're going to run ahead of you, or you won't be able to see them anymore. Yeah. So I just say maintain your position on the course. That will keep the marshals off your back. Yeah. And you may run into if you don't do that, you may run into being moved.
Yeah. So
that's all I tell them.
Yeah. So for both of you, what kind of comes across here, and Nick, I assume you're hearing the same thing, is. And it's true for caddies, pace of play and position is such an important thing to stress. Hey, Nick, who is your favorite speech giver, or what's your favorite line? We like all the guys, but is there one? How Bill, I just said, him stressing the sprinkler head yardage. There's another one, and he wasn't able to make it on today. Dan has a line that I know all the caddies remember and think of, but do you have one that stands out to you?
Well, it's probably Kevin's iconic make sure to watch the wind whenever he gives his speech, if you in the outdoor facilities. If
you're peeing outside, make sure to watch the wind. There's Dan likes to remind people that there's great Kohler bathrooms, because Kohler does more than build destination golf courses. There's one guy, I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but he, I think he's usually over for the Irish course, and he'll tell people there's no gambling at Bushwood, but we're not at Bushwood. And the players get a kick out of that. So,
nice.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. Do you get the feel the players are listening to you? I mean, or do you sometimes just feel like you're talking to, you're wasting your time?
Yeah. I tell you, Mark, there are some people, and they, I'm going to generalize a little bit, because they tend, and Bill, you may agree with this. The elderly folks, if they come out, they seem real intrigued on listening. Like they've been taught, like, now somebody's speaking, so keep your mouth shut and listen to what this person is telling you. And but then you get, and of course you guys as caddies, remember, you get the real arrogant people that come out that just don't think that anything we have to say means anything in the world. They're on this course now; it's their course, and they're going to pretty much do what they want to do. And I've had people turn around and they start talking to other people while we're trying to speak to them. I mean, you feel kind of like, boy, that's kind of rude. Why would you just listen? This is only going to take 1 or 2 minutes, but It doesn't always work that way. And,
right.
You know,
the part that gets me is you start talking to them and they're looking at you. Then they look down at their golf bag, pull their putter out, and walk up to the practice putting green and start putting.
Yeah.
Okay, which really, and I've even mentioned, it really doesn't do anything because the greens are so different. They're so much faster out on the course than the practice greens.
Yeah, right. But I think it's so. When I got married, when I was dating my wife, I remember that one of the things that she liked about me, I think that attracted her to me, was when we would go out somewhere and we had a service worker. So usually like when you're out to eat, or you have a cashier, back when there was, cashiers all the time instead of machines to check out. But she said that she really appreciated the way that I treated service workers, that I was kind and thoughtful and really spoke to them with dignity. And it's always been a thing to me that no matter what job a person has, if it's, an honest living, there's dignity in that work and it's to be respected. I bring that up to say that there is no doubt that some, not all, and not the majority, but some of our clientele are so far removed, so many income levels beyond, so many positions beyond service work positions, that maybe they have forgotten that adage of just respecting or kindness or whatever. And I'll see that because that blows me away sometimes. I've seen it where guys walk over to the putting green. Have you ever seen that, Nick, where guys, getting them off that practice green is like impossible, and you're like and it's setting a bad tone.
It's not a good look. It's a little cringy. You wish they'd just listen to the starters, and it takes
to me it's minute. Like I get it, maybe they've golfed there before or whatever, but I will say, and we talked about it before, like just even how they work with the Rangers on the course, that there's those few players who just treat them like total scum. If they get told to speed up or whatever. And I will say that, I get along with the players amazingly well, but if I had one turn off, it's that kind of behavior. I remember one time this year, there was a players on the putting green and the course was kind of jacked up as far as, I think it was an outing, a big corporate outing, if I'm remembering correctly, because that's usually the type of event where we get backed up. And my guys got up to the starters table late, even they're on the putting green. And I said, and I just with a commanding tone said, "Hey guys, we're up." And I remember the starter working that day just looked at me and goes, "Thank you." And because I think a lot of caddies are afraid to do that because they don't want to affect their tip. And I'm like, to heck with that.
Mark, hey, one more thing on that. I gotta give credit to both you and Nick. Because one of the things that happens too when people don't listen, a lot of times, caddies will just head right to the first tee box, and the players just think automatically, he's going, so I'm going too, and they just kind of take off. And I give both you and Nick a lot of credit because Nick will typically step back and you will stand there and like listen. And you, even though you're one of those ones that likes to go to the first tee box, I've never seen it yet where you don't stop. You look at your players and you go, "Hey, Kevin or Bill are about to give you a little bit of a speech. I've heard this thing 1,000 times, so I'm gonna head to the first tee box." And that is so helpful because then they know you've just directed them. Hey, listen to what these guys are about to say. Without just taking off,
Yeah, well, and because the number one thing that I actually want them to get across from you, besides the fact that it's just good that you greet them, you guys are giving them some nice swag. This year, there was the addition of the scorebook that the players seem to love. So it's a good thing. But I really need you guys to be part of the army of people reminding them about pace of play. But that leads to a question. I have a hypothesis, or I've reached a conclusion after X number of loops over 6 years. And let's see if you agree. When you talk to players about playing, pace of play, have you ever had a player say anything other than, "Oh, we play fast, or you won't have to worry about us"?
Yeah, right.
Just about every group that comes up to the starter stand, Mark.
Yeah.
When you get to that part, you don't have to worry about us. We play fast.
Yeah.
Man,
it's those guys behind us that you have to worry about.
Yeah, and the ones in front, but not. And I am, I just am waiting for that one player who's just going to be like, yeah, the course is screwed today. I play really slow. Yeah. I watched too much golf on television, and I've adopted what these guys do. Yeah. Boy, oh boy. What is the funniest or the craziest thing you've seen from a golfer from your vantage point? I imagine you have some excited guys, maybe some guys who are already lubed up a little bit with some cocktails. Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. Or just so amped up or whatever. What's the craziest, funniest thing you've ever seen, Kevin?
Well, I'm gonna say two things, Mark. One, maybe the funniest, was a group of women came up one time, and
I just started laughing at that. That's funny.
They were the caddies were kind of off to the side, and the other women went up on the putting green. This one lady was sitting there, and so I was kind of alone with her, and she kind of walked up to me and she whispers to me. She goes, "Hey, I don't play a lot of golf." And I said, "Well, that's okay. That's fine." She goes, "Yeah, but could you tell me which one is the putter?"
Oh, no.
And I'm going, that just caught me completely off guard. Completely off guard. And I'm going, man, that would be this one right here.
Yeah, and that's where I would have handed Nick those bags and be like, I'll carry these other airs. Right.
But that's not the craziest thing. But I mean, this story may take a minute or two. But I'm in my second year, and I'm PAing on the Irish course. And I'm back on like around 10, hole 10. And I get this call from one of the cart girls. And she goes, "Hey, Kevin," she goes, "I'm not sure where you're at," but she goes, "There seems to be a cart problem." And she goes, "I think it's either on hole 8 or 9. I'm not real sure." And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'm at 10. I'll start working my way backwards. I'll start with 9, and I'll see if I can find it." So I go all the way down 9, and everybody seems to be fine. Everybody's working great. So I go on to the hole 8, and I'm going backwards again. And I get to the tee box on 8, and again, nothing. And I'm going, wow. I said, "Hey, I'll check one more hole. I'll go down 7. So I go down 7. And if you guys recall, 7 on the Irish, there's a point where you're going down the cart path, and then it crosses the fairway, actually, and goes over to the complete other side. So I'm making the turn to cross the fairway, and I look across the other side of the fairway, and I see a car, not a cart, a car. And it's ass back end into the gully. It's actually into the ravine. And the front end of the car is just sticking straight up. And I go flying over there, and there's a gentleman and his son are standing there, and I drive up. I go, I didn't know what to say at first. I go, "Oops." And the guy starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, that was kind of stupid, wasn't it?" And I'm going, "Sir, I have got to ask you, how did you get your car on a cart path down in the ravine backwards?" And he goes, "To be honest with you," he goes, "my son and I drove up here from Illinois," and he goes,
that explains it right there.
Yeah. And he goes, "I couldn't find your entrance." And he said, "So I went north a little further," and he said, "I finally saw an entrance." So he said, "So I drove into this entrance," and he said, "I thought it was kind of strange because there were these big buildings there. Of course, those are our maintenance buildings, right?" And I go, "Well, that might have been a clue. There's tractors and there's all this stuff out there." But no, the guy still couldn't figure it out. This is right. I'm going the right way. So what does he do, guys? Is he drives around the backside of all these maintenance buildings, and he finally sees this path, and he goes, "Oh, this must be the driveway." Well, what he's on one of our cart paths now leading right onto the Irish course. So he literally drives his car onto the Irish course on that cart path, goes right across the fairway on the cart path, and he gets to the other side, and he finally looks at his son and he goes, "Man, this is one skinny driveway." He goes, I think this is wrong. He goes, "We better go back." So he puts the car in reverse and he backs it right down into the ravine. And that's the honest to God story. We had to call the MOD out. Had to get a tow truck out there, and we told him the tow truck is on the way. He's going to have to stay with his car. And he goes, "Well, no, I can't." He goes, I tee off in 10 minutes. He was all worried about his tee time on the straights court.
Yeah, golfers are nuts that way. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. So, that is so just for listeners out there who might be Kevin is describing when he was a player's assistant before graduating to being a starter. So he was out riding around the course. Real quick aside with that, is that how most guys start as PAs and then as you get older be starters, or is that considered a promotion or what?
I don't know if it's considered a promotion, but my first before I was a starter on the straights, my first couple of years I spent on the Irish. I was a PA out there. I was trained by good guys out there. And then I was a starter on the Irish. And then one day the guy that was starting the Irish called in sick. So the MOD said to me, he goes, "Bill, you want to go start the straights for us today?" And I go, "Geez, I don't know. I've never even considered it." I go, "That's like a big jump." He goes, "Don't worry about it. Just be yourself and you'll be fine."
Yeah.
So, and I haven't left there since because I think that that's the best out of all the jobs that are out there. I think that that's about the best I can do.
Well, you're reaching people at the height of their trip. Hopefully, they're going on to the straights course. Bill, did you have anything that can top Kevin?
I can't. I outside of a lady one time. It might have been around the year that the Ryder Cup was supposed to be there, where they take all the grass out and there's and asphalt like on the south end of the clubhouse. There's actually a drive there that they cover up with grass, and all of a sudden I look and I see a car coming around the east side of the clubhouse on that cart path, that little path that you guys take, and turning and they had big railroad ties down there. So the lady who was riding shotgun, she gets out and she picks up a railroad tie and she moves it so her friend can get the car through over there. And then she got past it, and then the lady moved the railroad tie back to where it belonged, and then she had to go up by the driveway right around where the caddy row is, and she moved the railroad tie again so the lady could pull the car through. And I think that everybody, I stood there, I was just like with my mouth was probably on the ground already at that time, just watching this. And she just took her car and they jumped in and they drove out. I'd never seen them after that. I'm not real sure.
There's something that happens to people. I don't know what it is. People, I think, are just so excited that there's times that, and they're not. The thing about golf that and stuff is, and I guess you could put the whole experience in this category, is you have people who are 99% of their life very much in control or have the appearance of being in control. And then they're in a place playing golf where they feel vulnerable or they're out of control and they're trying to seize control. And so sometimes some of the decision making might come from a misguided place. So, yeah, but I get it, man. It's like, there's sometimes you're like, I mean, I've joked, like, I am less likely to go and get life-saving care from a doctor after caddying for some of the doctors caddied for, because you're like, how in the world, and, but I'm sure that in places I am equally dumb. So, one of the things, Nick, I enjoy the whole operation and the friendly faces and the we talk about a brotherhood amongst the caddies a lot, but I also just like the friendly interactions we get to have with the whole thing, starting with the starters. I mean, we got the people working at the bag drop. You got the cart girls. You've got the marshals out on the course. What about you? Do you enjoy that part of the job as much as I do?
Yeah, I consider the starters to be kind of in our little brotherhood. I love seeing Kevin and Bill every day, and they kind of like send us on our way and put us in a good mood on the way out. So yeah, I love it.
I really enjoy just that part of the job. Like I really feel like they're down to earth people. I don't know. I really am thankful for it. But guys, that leads me to asking you, what's your relationship with like the caddies? I mean, do you enjoy that? Do you like interacting with us, or do you find us to be annoying and a pain in the butt?
I like it. I think I have a lot of respect for you guys. You carry a golf bag. I know that you take as much stuff out of it as you possibly can to make it light, but it's still right around 20 pounds maybe. And you put 20 pounds on your right shoulder, and you put 20 pounds on your left shoulder, and you go out and you walk 9 miles. And then you come in, you go down to the caddy shack, and you go tinkle, and then you come back up and you grab 2 more golf bags with 40 pounds or so, and you go walk 9 more miles. And even as a kid, I don't think that I could have done something like that. I caddied at Blue Mountain Country Club when I was a kid, and I only carried doubles once. And here you guys are doing it, couple times a week.
Yeah.
Or sometimes twice a day.
And twice a day, right?
You guys double up.
Yeah.
I appreciate something. That. I think sometimes, sometimes I think the caddies, I think the players very much generally value the caddies or the position of caddy. They may not vibe with their particular caddy that day, but every now and then I think like some people forget that this is kind of a challenging gig, and we're not curing cancer, so I'm not looking for a pat on the back all the time, but every now and then I think some people may forget that going out there and walking 18 miles in a day with bags, like you say, isn't like necessarily just easy. So do you have good interactions though? You think the guys are fun? Are most of the caddies respectful to you?
I would say. Oh yeah.
Mark, I totally agree. I kind of view us more, like Nick said earlier, as kind of a team, kind of a brotherhood. Because I'll be honest with you, a lot of times the caddies will come up and like Nick mentioned earlier, are struggling to get somebody off the practice green or even off the driving range. A lot of times I'll have a discussion with the caddy and I'll go, hey, I'm going to call the PA ahead of time because this group looks like it's going to be a problem before we even get off the ground. So I'm going to give the guy out on the course a forewarning. Hey, Nick and Mark just came through with a group. You just got to keep an eye on them. I'm a little concerned, or whatever. Like a lot of times too, if they're late coming up to the starter stand, the caddies are so good and they know me well enough where I'll take a couple steps up onto the green. The caddies will turn around and see me, and they'll go, "We're coming. We're on our way. We're going to be there." So yeah, it's a team effort, and we will certainly try to help you guys any way we can too to get you guys started on the right leg, and hopefully you have a good interaction and then a great round with these people.
Sure. Hey, one thing that just came to mind as far as your interactions with players. Don't name any names. We're careful of that so that we don't get in trouble from our mothership. But when you have a celebrity, maybe a notable famous athlete, perhaps some politicians we've had, occasionally some big actors, whatever. Do you guys get a bunch of warnings from management about how to handle that?
Oh, we get the warning sometime that they're coming. That's all.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah. I mean, do you interact any differently with them?
I don't. They're just people. When the one quarterback that used to be a quarterback in Green Bay showed up with he showed up with 14 of his best friends, and I just talked to them as they came up.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't get starstruck by anybody, or let's put it that way.
Yeah,
No,
I agree. That
agree.
kind of gets knocked out of you the more you do this. Like golfers inevitably ask that question 80% of our loops, to be honest, I don't even like it. It doesn't move the needle for me, like, in a lot of cases, you'd rather just deal with and work with, normal average Joe. So,
Right.
Yeah. I think the players probably appreciate that from you. They probably get tired of people being all over them all the time. So just come and let them go to a world-class place and be about their business.
That's right.
Yeah. I do the same thing Bill does. I just give him the same speech. I pretty much, introduce myself to him like I normally do. And some don't say much of anything, and they go on their way. And I've had other ones, they come right up. That's the first thing they do is they introduce themselves. I know they don't really need an introduction because I know who they are. I just pretty much treat them the same.
Yeah. Very cool. Do guys tip you guys generally?
Every once in a while.
Yeah, every once in a while.
It's usually when you don't expect it.
Yeah.
Like it's typically, I hate to say it, it's not from those famous people a lot of times.
No.
Sometimes it's from your very average person. They walk away and then they come back and they'll hand us something. They'll say, thanks a lot,
Yeah.
And it's really a neat feeling. It's like, wow, you really appreciated what I just did,
Yeah. I've just noticed there's some who kind of approach it almost like they're in Vegas, or like pretty much anyone they interact with, they feel like they get some money or whatever.
They're just peeling money off.
Yeah. So, well, very good, guys. This is really a treat to be able to talk with you guys. And now if people are planning trips out to see us next summer, they've got a couple of faces already in their mind that they might interact with. Bill and Kevin, they'll be happy to greet you, happy to send you off with a smile to hopefully have the experience of a lifetime. And they'll do so reminding you to do it on pace. And so,
There you go.
Right. And you know what they also like now? I had to add to my speech, because people at the turn, they get their their free hot dog and that, and they would sit down at one of the tables.
Oh, yeah.
And they would enjoy their hot dog. So I say, that sandwich that you get at the return is grab and go, not grab and sit.
Yeah.
And
No.
they look at me and they go, oh, grab and sit. Like that,
Yeah. Well, and that's good because we don't, as caddies too, we normally don't even notice that they've sat down until we get to the 10th tee box, because we kind of grab and go. And then you turn around and you see them sitting down and you're like, crap. And then you're like, I'm too tired. I don't want to waste steps walking back to tell them to come on and hurry up. But very good. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Nick and I, we always close out our show with a little segment we call Heavy Baggage. And so we're going to do that real quickly here, Nick. We talk about, the fact that just like we carry heavy bags on the golf course that are usually more than 20 pounds apiece, Bill.
I was just guesstimating, that's all.
Yeah. There's people walking through life with some heavy baggage, and we're just trying to look for ways this winter to be intentional about lightening their load, to be a life caddy, so to speak, to help them navigate this game we call life, just like we help players during the season navigate the golf course. So, Nick, any opportunities to do so this week?
Yeah, I've got a coworker at my job, and he's had some substance abuse problems in the past, and I'm doing my best to remind him, just to keep clean and just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, similarly, I was talking to someone, but this one's a reminder that it doesn't always go the way we want it to. No matter our best efforts, had a talk with somebody this week, and I could tell that they're kind of just they were teetering that fence, and you could just see some of the behaviors starting to rise up that were going to lead to them maybe falling a bit. And, one day you feel like you're successful, but then the next day you find out that things went awry. And so, you do your best, just like we do our best while we're out on the golf course. And some shots, they end up looking beautiful. Some we end up out of bounds. But, I used to get so overly discouraged by that it would just drain my soul, and it would be just absolutely crushing, and I would take it personally. And whereas now stuff like that might hurt, I also remember the thing that caddying has taught me the most. And that is, on this side of the ground, no matter the deep bunkers we're in, no matter how far out of bounds, no matter the shanks, the misses, the bad shots, there is always a next shot full of hope and opportunity. So take yours.